Hi there, my name is Gabriel and welcome to the first video of my EF Core 6 series. In this video, I want to show you how you can very quickly get started with EF Core. And then in subsequent videos, I will elaborate on some of the features and show you stuff like how to do code first migrations, how to build relationships into your data model, how to do CRUD operations, how to configure your DB context for different scenarios or for different situations, and so forth. All right. This video and all subsequent videos will be short. I'm going to keep them concise. And what you will also find with every video is that there will be a blog post and a code repository associated with it. That way you can read the blog post for more information, and you can use the code base or the code repository to kind of follow what I do and apply the commands that I share with you. All right, the outcome of your code, or when you start using the code and what I show you, should be in sync, and that's the idea. Okay, so let's get started. So if we go down the blog post, the first step is to download the code. Once you have downloaded the code, you will see something like this, a solution that consists of 3 projects, and the .NET Core version I'm using is .NET Core version 6. Then, okay, so I have that already. So if I just show you, this is what I have. If I expand, I'll have some class files here. And if I try and compile this project, it's going to give me an error because we don't have everything set up yet, right? So we ignore the errors. Don't run the project. Let's follow the next step. So the next step is basically we want to connect to our MS SQL local DB. This SQL Server instance gets installed with Visual Studio. So what you need to do is you can just copy the instance name. In Visual Studio, you can open up your SQL Server Object Explorer, expand your SQL Server connections. All right, so I already have a connection to my MS SQL local DB, but I'm just going to disconnect here and reconnect. I'm going to paste that connection name or that instance name in my server name text box, click on connect, and there is my connection. The next thing that we want to do is we want to create a database called student DB. So I'm going to go and right click, add new database, call it student DB. And then I'll expand the database. And as we can see, the database is empty. So there's no objects, there's no tables. If you go to your data project, there will be a script file which you can open up. We can copy the script content. We can go back to our SQL Server Object Explorer. We can right click on the database, add a new query, paste that script, and execute it. Now we will have a database with database tables. Perfect. The next step is to install EF Core 6. Now there are various ways to install EF Core. Essentially, this is the core library, the Microsoft Entity Framework core. However, once you have installed your Entity Framework core package, you also need to install the provider that you want to use. And in our case, we want to use SQL Server. So what we can do is we can actually go and install the Microsoft.entityframework.SQL Server provider package. And because that is dependent on EF Core, it will install for us all the dependent packages as well. So what we can do is we can go and either go to the Manage Lookup Package Manager, or we can go to the Package Manager console and add the Lookup package from here. So I'm just going to change the default project to the student app.data project, which is the one that this is the one where we will create our data module. So we want to make sure that we install all our entity framework or EF core packages into that project. So I'm just going to paste that command that I copied from the blog post. I'm going to press enter, and it's going to install everything that we need. So if I now go and expand my dependencies folder, I'm going to go down to packages. So here we can see, here's our EF core data provider package. And if I expand that, we can see that we have the Microsoft Data SQL client package. And also we have all the EF core packages as well. All right, fantastic. So that's how easy it is to install EF core. There is something I want to talk about regarding the SQL client package, but we'll talk about that in a subsequent video. For now, I'm going to go back to the blog post. Okay, and just look at what is the next step. So the next step is we want to create our data model. You can copy all this code here. This code will go into a file called student context, which will inherit from the DB context class. So we're going to just open it up. We're going to overwrite this code. There we go. So if we just look at the code just for a few seconds, it's basically here we create our connection string. We normally won't add the connection string in our data module, but because this is a demo, this is the easiest way to do it. So here we have the instance name we want to connect to, and also the database name. Then we also have our DB set, which is really important to add. Your DB set is basically your wrappers around your domain classes that will implicitly represent your database tables. We'll go into all of this, what you see here, in more detail in subsequent videos. But for now, this is what we need. We need a context, which is in our case the student context, which inherits from the EF core DB context. We provided a connection, and then we specify our DB sets, and that's it. So now, if we look at our blog post, those are the necessary steps. And the only other step that we need to still do is run the application. So let's have a look and see what happens when we go and execute our API. All right, so based on the outcome here, it seems that everything was successfully installed and our application was able to start up. So now if we go and choose any of these endpoints and execute it, it's gonna execute successfully, but of course we won't have any data. So let's add some data. So for my student, I'm gonna add a new student. So I'm gonna delete the line where it requires me to specify the ID value. And I'm just going to type here Mickey Mouse. I'm going to execute. And now if I go back to my get endpoint, click on execute, here we can see we have some data. And that is it. That is how easy it is to add EF Core to your .NET applications. Now, this was a very simplistic installation, and as we continue with this series, I will show you how you can add or how you can configure additional features of EF Core. I hope this video was insightful. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below and I will try and get to them as quickly as possible. In the next video, I'm going to show you how you can start using code first migrations inside or with EF Core. Thank you for watching.